So talking about the class today, we should continue with the Docker. So the last time we were able to be as much as possible to drive in the concept of Docker, to make everyone understand what Docker is. And before we continue for today, I would like to ask us maybe you have any question from last class, because I didn't really get much question. Or is it because we didn't really try, you didn't really practice, or what? I'm expecting to get some questions. Is it because there was no exercise, there was nothing to work with, or we didn't really understand the last class? Can I just get our feedbacks? Who's going to go?
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, this is Precious. Right. I want to ask, right? I didn't really, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I want to ask if I really did understand this Docker concepts very well. So from the last teaching, you mentioned, did you say that Docker is a virtualization, right?
Yes.
We have the bare metal where we now install the Docker as it stands as the virtualization. Then from there we can install another instance, right?
Let's call it virtualization, but if I want to describe it like that, I'll just call it lightweight version of virtualization. It's lighter, like lightweight. It's more like a lightweight version of virtualization. So when you're talking about virtualization, virtual machines actually work at the hardware level. Okay, that's virtualization. And when I'm talking about hardware level, you're actually virtualizing your RAM, your hard disk, all these hardware resources of your machine. That's virtualization. But Docker is operating at the OS level.
Okay.
Yes. So now,
okay.
And now what now makes it work like virtualization is because it doesn't all it will be needing is actually packaged inside a container. Like, it doesn't really depend on the OS libraries, OS dependencies. Everything it's needing is already inside the image. That's why we just call it like another virtualization.
Okay.
On the OS level. Yes. Okay,
so I get that, right? So my second question is, if we have Ubuntu on our if we have Ubuntu on our AWS, right, as our cloud server, right, then we installed Docker on it. Then when we checked that Docker hub, we still saw what Ubuntu, right? Ubuntu as this image, right? So why do we have to install Ubuntu image when we have Ubuntu as our server, our main server?
All right. Now, it's not a must for you to use Ubuntu. When you're working with Docker, Docker actually operates like it's built in layer. Okay, so the last illustration I was trying to give us last time, I was trying to use car. Now let me use your a house. That's how Docker actually operates. Before you build a house, you must build it on something which is a foundation. So the same thing actually happens when you're working with Docker, especially when you're building your own image. There's something we actually call base image. It's more or less like the foundation for building your image. So now, the base image is what you start with. Every other thing. So now what will be happening is Docker is now building in layers. Okay, the first thing, let's say the base image, the base image, you already have your foundation, or you already have your foundation, then you start, you know, building on top that foundation that you have. Okay, please add this library, please add this dependency, please install this, please install that, you know, copy this file, send this file. Everything you want to do is like a layer. That's why when you're going to see more of this when we start building the image. But first thing you must do is Docker must always refer to a base image. It always has a reference, a starting point, a reference point to start from. Okay, so it can be any image, it can be anything, it can even be an image you create on your own, it can be the busy box we used the last time, it might be the hello world we used the last time. Anything, but the most important thing is it must have a starting point.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any other question before we move on? All right. Let's get into it then. So let me share my screen. Share the entire screen. Okay. Let's see from the last class. So today we are going to be, we'll continue with Docker, and what we are going to be doing is we are going to be building our own custom image. Okay, so we're going to be building our own custom image. So how do we start? First things first, let's see. I think we actually cloned a repo the last time. Let's Python. We cloned the repo the last time. Oh no. Wanted us to clone the repo. That's from the last class, but what's the repo name itself? Okay, this guy. Let's see. So that we're not really we want us to really work everything from scratch. Oh, all right. So this is what we are using. This is the last. This is the level we also used the last time. So now what we want to do now is we actually want to. We are going to, at the end of this class, we should try to deploy this application. We should try to deploy this application at the end of this class. So if you take note now, look at this file now. Inside this file, there's a file called Dockerfile. But before we start using that, let's just play around. Okay, this is actually for deploying Docker. It's actually for deploying Docker. So now, if you actually want to work on a Docker actually makes use of a file, which is called Dockerfile. And what is a Dockerfile? Dockerfile is a file that actually contains the list of commands that you want your Docker client to run. Call it Dockerfile. Okay, so to start with, let's try to create a Dockerfile. So creating a Dockerfile, that's vi. So I actually think it's case sensitive here. So capital D. I think it should be case sensitive, but I'm not 100% sure, but I think it should be case sensitive. And now I actually mentioned, or I mentioned a base image. So before you can build any image, you already understand what Docker actually means. So in the last class, what we did was we worked with already built image. For instance, now from the last class I remember, if you look at it now, this was the command we did. Let me see. So this was what we did. We copied this image. We actually made use of this image. We put this image, which is what we have here. So what we are going to be doing now is, what we are going to be doing in this class is, we are going to build something like this and push it to our own Docker Hub. Okay. So me, I already have a Docker Hub. I already have a Docker Hub account. So I may not be doing that, but if you want to practice from your end, just try to sign up, register on Docker Hub. That she has told you. You try to register on Docker Hub, and once you register, you should be able to sign in and make use of the public registry. Yeah. Also, this is Docker Hub anyway. Maybe by the time you start practicing so well, by the time you start going into DevOps proper, you can also have your own registry. You have Nexus, you can host your own registry in Nexus. We also have registry in AWS, that's Elastic Cloud Registry. That's ECR, I think. In Google, what's it called? In Google Cloud. So I think we also have GCR. Yeah, Google Cloud Registry. So yeah, you can also have your own on-prem registry, by using Nexus. Like my company, we actually have Nexus. Not all companies actually care about all those anyway, but because it can be a little bit, you're trying to manage resources, so you don't want to start bothering yourself. If you think you can still make do with the public cloud, and you can use your public cloud. Otherwise, try to set up your own registry. Maybe by the time we do Kubernetes anyway, I will show us how to deploy all these things. They are pretty straightforward, Just there's something we call Kubernetes package manager. We're going to make use of Kubernetes. Kubernetes actually makes DevOps more interesting anyway. So inside Kubernetes, we now have Kubernetes package manager, which we are going to be using mcharts. With mcharts, a lot of all these heavy these loads, these bodies has been lifted for you. All you just have to do is just change parameters, and everything is up and running. That's what makes DevOps interesting. Something about this DevOps is it might be a little bit scarier at it's case sensitive, yeah. So it might be scary, at the beginning, but by the time you start learning, you see like nothing serious, just keep going. By the time you do Docker today, it's going to make more sense to you because it's more fun. So let's get into it. Let me sign in. I know my password. There you go. All right. See how this one. Okay, so I have a couple of registry here. That was 3 years ago. That was the last time I actually made use of this. So now what we're going to be doing is we are going to build our own image and push it to our own registry. Okay, so to start, you can just go ahead and create your own registry in Docker and continue with the registry. So my registry is actually Bulexi. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing today. So let's start. The first thing we have to do is to create. This feels so cool right now. What's this? Okay. So let's make a directory. Come on. Okay. Should I just clone this? Let me just clone this and explain. Let me just clone this and just explain. So just clone. All right, so let's go into it, the curriculum. So we have a couple of files here. I think another thing you should just know is most of the time you just have reasons to install. Let's say you're working with web application Flask. Maybe you're using Flask. Just Dockerfile for Flask. It's as easy as that. Dockerfile for Flask. Dockerfile for Django, Dockerfile for Angular, Dockerfile for Node.js, almost the same thing. The only difference is probably you just need to copy some files, you need to install some dependencies and all. And it's almost like you're running your Linux command. So it's nothing serious to really worry about. So now this is the Flask app. This is a full app, okay? So let's log into the Flask app and see. I think, the last time we actually worked with these static sites, okay? So let's go to the static site and see what we have. Do I have Sublime? Oh, bad me. I don't have Sublime here. Let's waste time. So let's cut what we have inside the static site and see. Static site. Dockerfile inside this static site, because static site is an application on its own. It has its own Dockerfile. Let's see the content. See, just 3 lines, and it's going to 4 lines, and it's going to deploy an app, a full app. Okay. Now the same thing for Flask. It's an app on its own. Let's go into the Flask app and see what we have inside. LS. It has a Dockerfile of its own. Okay, so those that do Python or those that work with Flask, this is just requirement.fab, requirement.txt is just a file that actually states the dependencies an app will be needing. Let's cut it. So this is how Flask actually works. The same thing as Django too. The same thing as Django. You just create a file like this, and it's going to list all the dependencies that you'll be needing. Okay, so the only dependencies that it's needing here is just Flask. That's what this file is doing. It's just for developers anyway. So if you just know it's good for you, you just know about it. And this is where the code is actually written. And this app.py, this is the entry point. Okay, we will not be needing this. This is for AWS. We are not going to be working with Elastic Beanstalk. So now let's see this Docker file. Let's see this Docker file. All right. So now to start with, let me just explain. This is the Docker file now. Every Docker image you are building, you must start with a from. It must have a foundation. This from can be anything. It can be Ubuntu, it can be Python, it can be CentOS, it can be anything, any image. It can even be any of the images that I have here. Just have, okay, I can decide to change it and use this. Just have a base image. That's the most important thing. That is a starting point. Every Docker image must have a reference starting point. So that's what this is all about. So now, since we are Flask is a Python app, okay? So that's why it's using Python as its base image. And then you can decide we know what to use Python base image, okay? You can decide to use Ubuntu as your base image. But one thing you should take notice, this image, it's going to be installing, it's going to be building on your local machine, right? Now, the best thing you want to do is you want to make your image as light as possible. You want to make it light as much as possible. Okay, so now if you're using an OS, you know what that means. it's going to consume more space. But now you're just saying, okay, guy, please just give me Python. That's just all I need. And I know this is going to be lightweight. If you go and check Python, if you go and check Python now, it should not be more than maybe around maybe 30 MB or so. So that now compared to installing or using Ubuntu as your base image. Now, this is another thing that that actually, okay, the question is, how do you know the kind of base image you want to use? Okay, how? Or what do you actually use to drive the decision? Probably after using this base image, probably I actually need some libraries, or I need some packages that's in Ubuntu, or maybe some Red Hat package, but it's not readily available on Python. Okay, what do I do? Then you cannot use Python anymore. The next is just for you to use your Ubuntu. But at least for what we want to do, the only thing we need is we only need to do pip install. Okay. Now, modern days developer, they write their Dockerfile. As you're building your app, you develop your Dockerfile. It's not a must to actually develop a Dockerfile. Even myself, I can't remember the last time I actually worked with Dockerfile, but at least my first company then, because I do development role and DevOps, so that also actually gave me a good knowledge of Dockerfile. So, but then you must just know how to build all these things. It's good for you to know how everything works anyway. Okay, so you may not necessarily worry much, but just try and understand how this thing works. So the first thing that happened here is we are using our base image as Python, which is Python 3.8. That's the first line. Now you can, after setting your base image, then that's when you can now start doing a lot of other configurations. You can also set your license. You can you can copy a lot of files. You can install packages. But for this now, the next thing that was actually the next thing we have here is work directory. So what does this work directory actually do? This work directory just specify, okay, by default, this is where I want you to be working. Just like when I log into my EC2 instance. When I log into my EC2 instance, where you see the command that I use in logging into my EC2 instance, the first place it brought me to is CME. Here is it. You see, the moment I logged in, it brought me to CME. Okay, this is the directory. So that's how this is actually working. Like the first time you actually call the container, where is it going to take you to? Or everything you are doing, where is it going to take you to by default? Okay, so that's what this is actually talking about, like work directory. Okay, this is my directory that everything I'm going to be doing, please just make it here. Okay, so now from this work directory, you can now start changing directory. You can start touching file. If you decide, you can decide to change directory. You can decide to create users and all. But every other thing you can do, is like you're running your Linux command. Okay, so now.
Person is raising his hand also.
What's that?
I think you should remove him.
Are you sure that I've not had
Oh, what's happening? How would someone be doing this?
Locate who did that now. Locate who did it.
Okay, see, they are haters now. They are not happy. Wow.
Someone must have walked into the meeting room. You need to work on that. Maybe next time when you set a password, then you'll be admitting people by yourself.
How do I even know who this is?
Check the comment section. Depending people how they got to write all those shit in the comment section.
That's his problem. server. Okay, so let's continue. So we have our working directory here. So start with your working directory. So you have your work directory. After you're done with your work directory, what's now the next thing? Inside Docker, just like I told you, you don't really have to learn anything new. Okay, some of the few commands you just want to take note of is you want to take note of your work directory. You want to take note of your work directory, your work dir. Come on. Be like say tasks don't deal. You might need to change our meeting link.
You definitely need to. Like, this guy is in here for trouble.
Yeah.
The guy is in here for trouble.
This is so funny, man. Kai.
Come on. Look at the comment section.
He just let him know hack. Everybody should just be careful so that he will not hack into your personal thing.
I think you should let's maybe end the meeting. Set
Yes,
the meeting with password. Set the meeting with password.
Yes.
All right. I think I will do that.
Because the guy is trying to venture into one's personal thing now.
What?
Yes, he's trying to enter into someone's thing. Get data now, personal some people's data and hack people's phone or something. So I think the meeting should be admitting us. Once someone tries to join, you have to accept so that you know who is joining.
This is so funny. Kai. Okay.
I believe that for this person to be in this meeting, the person must be on the WhatsApp group as well. So we need to find him out and kick him out.
Yes, it's on the WhatsApp group.
It could just be random.
It's on the WhatsApp group. The person is on the WhatsApp group.
Somebody
definitely.
I hope the link wasn't shared in other groups or maybe online.
Okay.
Then another thing is, Bolly, you should also protect your YouTube channel, because they also hack into people. They send numbers for people to click on the numbers and chat them up.
I tell you, I'll have to, because I'll try to do multi-factor authentication anyway on the YouTube as well. So let me just try here and set up on the Zoom. I'll try to set up what's it called? Admission. So I will have to admit people in.
Exactly, that would be good.
That's fine. Okay, the person is side chick dog. You can see the person is side chick dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the person's problem? The person actually with, is it haters or what?
It's haters now. What do you think? It's haters now.
Just want to show that they can do things.
Is it the one drawing these things on the?
Yes.
It's the one.
I when he was drawing, I know he was using annotation. When he was joining, I saw the name, like or something. I think he just went left.
Chris Okoye, Antiolu, Uluwatose. Okay, I think next time everybody has to put on their videos to actually get admitted. Maybe we're just going to do that, okay?
That's fine. So that's a check.
Yeah. So I'm trying to see how I can set, how to set admission. I think I won't set this. I'm trying to see where it is.
Check security. When you're scheduling the meeting, check security and participation and all that. Check is there.
Okay. Team chats, background profile.
I don't think you can do it now. It's when you are creating it, that's when you can do it.
Okay, yeah. Let me just stop sharing now. I'm going to share the new link. I will try to create new link and share. So please just give me some time. Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
no
we
problem.
can all leave
Hello,
now.
hello, Bolu. Hello,
Okay.
Bolu.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry, everyone. I guess there is a need for we to identify ourselves first, so you will know who and who you are admitting in.
Yeah, I actually see all the names here anyway. So I have a rough idea of everyone here. So it's cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Somebody's trying to join with EP. Only God knows who this person is. There was nobody like EP in the last session we had. Let me just see. Let me just ask a question on the group, please. Somebody's trying to join as EP. But it's funny. I'm seeing some new names trying to join now that they were not even around before.
Some may just be seeing it now. They may just be seeing the link now to join. It's possible.
Let me share my screen so you can see. This name was not.
I think everyone should just join with their name.
Yeah,
their
who's
names.
ED? Who's iPhone? There was nobody like ED before. There was nobody like iPhone before.
So
It's out. It's out.
Were you able to verify the person? Have you identified?
You were not here before. Come on. How are these people giving themselves troubles like this? Okay. And I think if you admit once, next time it will just automatically come in. What can we do here now?
No, you still need to admit now.
No, I think if I admit you once, it will automatically join.
You mean next time?
Yes.
No, it won't. You still have to admit.
Okay.
You still have to admit.
So can someone just drop and try to reconnect? Let's see.
Okay, let me do that.
You are asking on the group who is EB? Who is the EB?
Yeah, who is EB? Who is Adisa Bukumi?
EB is in Ebenezer. The person just drop off.
Okay.
But
This
the person,
Ebenezer Oluwafemi that just dropped off
I think
now.
Ebenezer is here now.
Okay. So everybody is putting on their video automatically, I think, right? Let me just admit Nobu Larry.
You admitted
Can
me.
we do that?
Let's see.
Okay.
I admitted everyone. Okay, all right. Let's just continue and see. So anybody that just messed up now. Thank you. Who is EB? Who is EB? Who can see? Who is EB?
Let's identify who that EB is.
Yes.
He raised his hand. I'll be her hand. Which one?
That's what I'm trying to do. Please, can you identify yourself, EB?
Okay, I'm Eunice.
Oh, okay.
Who thought you are the hacker?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Can you put on your video?
Can we all identify ourselves? So anybody that is not really identifying him or herself, you can remove the person. How about that?
All right, yeah, fine. Makes sense. All right. But there's no even time. Who is Nobulari? Who is Nobulari? Nobulari, please, can you just identify yourself?
Someone made a comment on the group. Abosi Chijoke Cyprian.
Oh, the person did not even add his audio. Get out. I'm gonna remove. Who is Adisa Bukumi?
Adisa Bukumi.
Who is Adisa Bukumi?
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening. Are you sure you are not the spammer? I'm sorry. I can't know everyone. All right.
I don't have power yet.
All right, good, thank you. Who else is unfamiliar here? Okay, yeah, every other person here is familiar. All right. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry, sir, I can't, no problem. Yeah. Okay, you cannot. What's happening? All right, let me share my screen. Share the entire screen. Okay, so let's continue. Oh, so I'm just kind of curious who that person is. So we are just going to do something really simple today anyway. Let's just wrap this up so we can do other things. So now we have Dockerfile inside Docker curriculum. So inside Dockerfile, I said the only difference that you might have is the only thing that you might just have to take notice. Working with Dockerfile, most important thing you might have to take notice, this from. The first one is from. This from is for specifying the images. So you can use any particular image. I can decide to use my own image here as from. Okay. And you can also specify the tag. Let me see if I have a tag here. Okay. By default, it's always using latest. Okay, that's by default. So aside that, you can also have, am I recording? Not recording, okay. Let's record.
It's recording.
Okay, yeah, all right. So the next one is, you want to talk about the work DIR. So the work DIR is where you actually specify your working directory, okay, by default. So the moment anything you are doing, let's assume you're trying to do anything in this specified directory. So it's going to automatically use the working DIR that you specify, okay. So the next one is add. So add is just a way of copying a file. Like, say for instance now, We are inside this directory. Oops. We are inside this directory. We want to copy this particular file into our container. You know, this is our machine, okay? But content from the machine, we want to put it inside the container. You know, I told you like everything that Docker is going to be using is not relying on the working machine. It's having all its dependencies, everything it will ever be needing is already packaged together inside that image. Okay, so let's assume we are going to need this file inside that particular image, okay, for our application to run. So that's what you use your add for. So with add, it's just like you're copying from the machine into the image that you are building. The same thing as add, the same thing as copy rather. So you also specify. So now, either of these two is actually expecting two arguments: the source and then the destination. Okay, so the source is the location on your machine, or the source is the location of where the file that you are trying to copy or the directory you are trying to copy relatively to the environment that you are building from. Okay, so let's assume you are building from your Windows, so you have to specify this source relative to that. Let's assume you're working on your Linux, that's what you specify here. Okay, copy the file from temp. Okay, maybe there's a directory inside temp directory, so copy it, or there's a directory, maybe Nginx. You've already, take for instance, now you're trying to deploy Nginx, and then you have a static page. So instead of you just having to deploy Docker and log into the Docker and start making the changes, all you just have to do is, DevOps, I told you, we are automating processes. Okay, so instead of you now starting to be okay, after you set up the image, start making edits, what you just do is create the file, put it inside the repository, then copy from that repository into the image. Okay, so that's what the source is, and the destination is where you want to paste it into. Okay, our Nginx, remember when you're configuring your Nginx, the HTML, the home page, is actually located inside var/www/ blah blah, if you remember. Okay, so you can just use that as a destination. Or let's assume when you're trying to configure your site enabled, you can just have a pre-configured file on your local machine. So you now tell the image guy, anytime you're trying to build this Docker image, copy this file and put it inside the site enabled dir. So that's what this add and copy is actually doing. Then another one is expose. Another one is expose. So this expose, what does this expose actually do? This expose actually talks about the ports, just like you have on your machine. If you remember, a lot of people had issues when we started working with EC2 instance. They couldn't log into their machine. All you just have to tell them is go and open your port, or your port 22 or your SSH port on your EC2 security group. That's what we're doing. So that's what this expose is doing too. So you are exposing a particular port, maybe the port that the application is running on. Okay, that's what this expose. By default now, I think Flask actually runs on. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure ports for Flask. I think it's 5,000. Yeah, Flask is running on port 5,000. I'm not sure of Django. All these apps actually have default ports. Nginx is running on port 80. Okay, so that's what all this is all about. So the port that a particular app is running on, that's what you use this expose to do. And mind you, what you are doing with expose is you are only exposing container. You are only exposing a container to the machine where the container is running. So there are two levels of ports here. So the first level is the container ports, and then the next, the higher level is the machine ports. Okay, and if you remember, that was what we actually did when we were talking about port mapping. In our last class, we did port mapping, that we said this port is mapping the container, and then this port is mapping the machine itself. So it's the port that you have in your expose, that's what you put here. So you can have more than one port. You just specify different ports and you map them to the port you want it to run in your machine. Okay. So that is exposed. And then there's something we also call entry points. We also have entry points. We also have entry points or CMD. So you can use any of these two, entry point or CMD. Okay, so entry point or CMD is you can use this entry point or CMD. Like for instance, now inside this app now, there's an entry point for Flask. There's an entry point for Flask, which is what you have inside this app or spy. That is the command you actually use for running Flask. So that's what you use the entry point to do. Maybe a script. You already have a scripted file that you want to run after you are done building your image. That is what the entry point is all about. So this script is going to run after, it's going to run when you are, it's not going to run when you build the image, okay? It's going to run when you are, when you run your Docker run. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Now, when you're working with Docker, the first thing you do is you build your image. Once you are done building your image, after that you now do, oh, we have people in waiting room. Let me see, who are those? It's soft. Olale Konlawa, okay, I think it's a familiar name. It's soft. Adeyemi. Need one, okay. Yeah, I just admitted everybody. All right, so now when you're working with a participant enabled closed caption, you can see this. So when you're working with entry point or CMD, when you're working with Docker, the first thing you do is you build your image. After building your image, you do your Docker run. Okay, so the Docker run is, just like I defined the last time, is the running instance of your Docker image. Now, what this entry point is actually doing is, okay, during the Docker build, don't run this particular script. It's when you are running the Docker itself, when you're running the container, that's when you're going to run this following script, okay, for the application to function very well. So that's why you have this app. That's why you have this app.py. Well, you have this app.py. When you look at this Dockerfile now, when you look at this Dockerfile, you see this command. This is the command that's going to run at the instance of running your Docker image, okay, of running a container. That's what you have this CMD and entry point for. But here they are using CMD. You can also use entry points, okay. So that is that. Now, please just take note. These are the most important things you want to do. Okay, sorry, I omitted this. Then you have your run. You have your run. So what is run doing? Run is just a prefix that you add before running a particular command that you can easily run on your terminal. Let's assume run ls. You can just say run ls. Just the same thing you do on your Linux terminal. Okay, so you can also do run touch a file, just the normal thing, touch a file, touch test.txt. So that's run. So if you want to run a particular command, that is what you just prefix this this run before it. Okay, like let's assume you actually want to install Nginx, you just say run, run apt-get install Nginx. You remember all those things we used to do when we were still working with terminal. Then after that, you say run system ctl start Nginx. So Dockerfile is as simple as that. Let me just summarize again. From is what you use to specify your base image. So after that, you have your work dir. Your work dir is just to specify your default working directory. Okay. Then after that, you can use any of these. Maybe you have some particular files that you want to install, that you want to copy into your image that you're going to make use of. Like for instance, your package.json. Now, when you're working with a node file, you want to install your package.json. Okay, when you're working with a node app, rather, a package.json file is a file that you use in installing all the dependencies. When you remember last time I talked about dependencies. Dependencies are just like the library, the packages that your application will need to function. Okay, so you can just use your heart to copy the file. Then after that, I think if you're working with Node, you can now do run npm install. If I'm sure npm install, yeah. So maybe -y. Okay, so it's going to install everything you have inside your package.json. You might not, you can just trying to explain. So this is just way to set up a node library anyway. So maybe after this class, we just browse about it. You see these things. Okay, let me just show you Dockerfile for Docker. I told you like this thing, you don't really have to bother, you know, all these things, they are just simple. If you want to set up a node app, just say Dockerfile for node. Build your node image. So, you know, in fact, this is by Docker. Let's see what they have for us. Okay. That's just the node. This is what I think what they have here is the node app. So now this is create a Dockerfile for the Node.js. So they explained, he said, the first look at, I told you the syntax, you start with your base image, the environment, okay. This is another variable for actually just specifying the environment you're working with. Then you have the work dir. This is not a must, okay. So then you see the copy. Because this copy is any other file you are working with. Let's assume you've copied your Node.js app. So now, okay, this is a way for copying the Node.js dependency file. Okay, this file is where it states all the dependencies, all the dependency library that you're going to make use of. So that's what this is doing. So it's copying the files that it's going to be needing. Okay, which is package.json and package.log.json is pasting it here. That's inside the working dir. Then, okay, this is run npm install. Then this is just for the environment, run npm for production. Then look at this. This is copy. Now, what this is saying is copy all the files in the present repository into the working directory of the image. Then after that, there's always a server.js. I told you about that. That's the the Node.js app has to run this to work very well. So that's why you are using this to work. That's why you are using this CMD. Okay, so now this is just if someone says, okay, please set up a Docker file to spin up or to deploy my Node.js. It's as simple as this. Just, okay, where is your Docker, where is your Node.js app residing? Okay, it's residing anywhere, maybe in Git. You just clone the Git, and then you add this file along with what is already in that Git. Then you just specify, okay, yeah, fine. I need this node. This is my base image, which is node. Normally, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to install this on your local machine. But now we are using it as image, then which environment, which is production. This is not necessary, but it's just for labeling. Okay, we are running it in production. Then we have the working directory. This is our default working directory, which is app. Then what are other files that we want you to copy? So I want you to copy this package.json, and then I want you to copy this package log.json, okay, and paste it inside this working directory, which is app. So it's going to paste it inside app. Then after that, install this dependency package.json. So if you run npm install, it's going to check this file and install all the dependencies that are stated inside this package.json. That's what it's doing. Then after you are done doing that, this command is now to copy the app itself into the container. That is all the app, the code that was written in that Node.js. So this is just to copy all, and then after copying all the file, run this command. This is how to really start Node.js server. This is the command for starting Node.js server. Okay, so run this command. It's as simple as that. If you want to do the same thing for Flask, the same thing we are doing, just do Dockerfile for Flask. Okay, so how to Dockerize a Flask application? We have Flask. Come on, I feel you're too quiet. Please, am I really communicating?
Yes, you are communicating. We are trying to understand everything.
We are not communicating to anything. Come on. Let's see the stress for Togo, but we'll get Tasha.
Okay. Let me come again. Now, what I'm doing so far is you are, as a DevOps, you are working with a developer in your team. Okay. Now, one thing you want to understand is which application are you trying to deploy? So let's assume you are working, your team is actually developing a web app. So now, which programming language is actually used in writing the web application? Okay, Python, JavaScript, okay? Which framework? Okay, let's assume you are using Angular. These are questions you just ask, okay, what's our stack? Okay, now you ask, okay, they are using Angular. Now, you as a DevOps person, they now give you the responsibility of writing a Dockerfile, and you don't even know these things right from day one. It's as simple as just go online, Dockerfile for Angular app. You will see it online, how to Dockerize, build and run. They are almost the same thing, okay? Just a few things to change. Now, we are just talking about Dockerfile, okay? At least you understand the concept of image. Now, how can we build our own image? That's what we are trying to do. Okay, maybe before I continue with that, maybe we should just try and build an ordinary image and see how it works. Maybe that would be helpful then. Now, let's just try and build an image. Let's try and build an image and see how it works before we continue, sure. Let me restart. All right, now let's do something now. Let's build our own image. Let's see how it works. So to start now, I'm not going to work with the app. I said the first thing you want to do is you understand how Docker image work. Okay, I will assume you all understand how Docker images work. So now, want to build our own custom image. The first thing you do is you create a file called Dockerfile. Okay, for people view, who are they? To see. You can see the culprit is here, Lafunk. You can see. So which machine?
Remove him now.
Remove. Let me report.
That person is in that group. He's in that our WhatsApp group. For him to have access to the link, he's in that WhatsApp group.
It's still the same link anyway. So now let's create our own Dockerfile. I told you to start with, you must always have a base image. So let's create, this is our base image. So now I'm going to use this base image, which I'm having inside my own repository. So I'm not using the normal default. I'm going to use a base image that I already put in my repository, which is 2 years ago. Okay, so now let's use Bolexi/Nginx. Now, the normal default base image is Nginx, but now we are going to be using Bolexi/Nginx. What I want us to do is let's create our own base image. Okay, so after that, let's copy a particular file. Okay, before we do that, let's specify our work dir. Our work dir, let's call it is it going to create it by default? Let me see. I'm not sure if it's going to create it by default, but let's just try. Let's see if it's going to create by default or we have to create it. I'm just trying to see if it's going to create this dir for us. Okay. So then after specifying the dir, let's try to copy something. So let's copy a file. Let's copy a particular file. Let's call it, we'll create the file after we leave this place, test.txt, okay, and paste it inside this working directory. Okay, so now to tell it to paste it inside this working directory, you just use dot. And then you can also copy another file. Let's call it test2.txt and paste it inside TMP. You are going to see it too. Then after that, what other thing should I? Okay, now let's run something. Let's do ls. I said to run your command now. The normal thing you do ls. ls, let's list everything we have inside the root directory. Okay, so it's going to list everything we have inside the root directory, and then your normal, I told you if you want to run any Linux command, that's what you use this run. Okay, you see that in action. What other things should we don't need to expose now. We don't need entry points. So let's not worry about that now. Since it's not like we are deploying yet. We don't have any hub. Okay, so that's what we are going to do now. And once we take note of this, look at how many lines is this? This is 5 lines. Okay, this is 5 lines. Now let's see it in action. Let's see it in action. Now, to build our Docker image, the only thing to build our Docker image, you have to specify Dockerfile. And then once you have your Dockerfile, the next thing you just want to do is Docker build. Okay, Docker build -t. So this is an option. This is an option that you have to specify where you want to build an image. Okay, then the name of the image. What do you want to name the image? What do you want to name the image? So let's just name it DevOps image. DevOps. Let's name it DevOps. Okay. Now, once you specify the name, the last thing you want to specify is the Docker file, the location of the Docker file. But in as much as where we are building this Docker file is in our present working directory, you just specify dot. But let's assume it's in another directory. So you have to specify the directory where the Docker file is residing. Okay, but in our case now, it's in our present working directory. So let's just let's specify dots. I'll build another image for you so that you see, and I'll specify the Docker file. Okay, so let's build this and see what happens. To recap the command, Docker build, that is the command for building image. then with this option -C, followed by the name of the image, then the location of the Docker file, which is our present working directory. That's why we are using dots. So now, look at what is happening. Step 1 of 5, you see, it specifies it's running the first step, which is what we specify. You see now, it's saying pulling from Bolexi Nginx. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to pull the image. You know, I was telling you, like, Docker image actually works by building on layers. So this is the first layer now. I was supposed to even show you something, maybe Docker image, but then don't worry. Now, all it's still trying to do is trying to pull this image from Docker Hub. So it's pulling the image now. Now, once it's done pulling, it's going to run the next step too, until it gets to 5/5.
So with this process now, meaning that you have an image already installed inside it, Bolexi Nginx.
No, this is my Docker Hub.
Okay.
So
okay.
This image push. Now, the same way we actually push this image, that's what we are trying to do again now, and I will push it and it's going to appear here.
Okay.
So I just
you just created a new image now, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to create image, but this image I've created it. My nickname is Bolexi. In case you don't know, I used to be I'm nicknamed Bolexi anyway, right from childhood.
Okay.
So I'm Bolexi. So for those that are confused, I'm the one that is Bolexi. This is my nickname, Bolexi. Then I push this Nginx to my repository. It's just like my username. My username is Bolexi. Okay. Nginx is inside my repository in Docker Hub, which is what I referenced inside the Docker file. The company actually worked for them was Linux Jobber. And then I also built this application back then, Chat Scrum. So that's why we have all this image here.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, please. You should hear me. You showed us the. Can you hear me?
What is it?
Hello,
I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay, it showed us the other time when you were showing us the Docker file, the steps in it. The first one was Python. So this one, what if we decided to just use Nginx without your own Docker image? Will it still work?
I said it earlier. I said you decide which base image you want to use. It's your choice. You can use Python. Now, let's assume the application you want to deploy is not Python. If it's a Node app, then you have to use Node. Or let's assume you want to package both Python and Node app inside a single container. Then you have to install maybe something like an OS, Linux, and then install Node and install Python inside. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Now, this image you are building is purposeless. I'm just demoing. Let's assume we want to deploy an app. Let's assume I want to deploy a Python app. Then I have to specify Python.
Okay. I got you now.
All right. So now, if you remember our Dockerfile, we have 5 steps. So the first step was successful. Downloaded newer. Okay. So after every step is successful, it's going to then generate this ID, this image ID. So and then it moved to the next step, which is work dir. You know, I told it like our working directory is going to be test. Okay, so it's running that, and then removing intermediate container. Okay, and after it successfully run this step, it's going to generate this ID. Then it's moved to the third step. Look at it. I said copy this particular file and put it inside the image. Now it says file not found. I forgot I was supposed to create this file inside my present working directory, right? Because I'm telling it, okay, guy, copy this file from my machine into the image because you are going to be making use of it. So in that case now, I have to create a file called text. Like, I actually don't mean to confuse you. In this scenario, what we are trying to copy here is just assume this text.file is a file that will be needed for our app to run, or for our server to run, or a configuration file. It can be anything. I'm just trying to demonstrate here. Okay, so let's assume this text.file is text.txt is a file that we need inside our application to run. So let's touch a file called text.txt. And then I think we need another file called test2.txt. Test2. Okay, yeah. All right, I think how can I see people that are waiting room? Not to monitor people that are waiting room. All right, so now we already have these two files now. Let's cut the Docker file. Let's cut the Docker file to see the content. Remember, I told you our base image is Bulexi Nginx. Then we have the work dir. Then we have the work dir. That's our default working directory. Then, Guy, please copy this file called test.txt and paste it in our working work dir. Okay. Then copy this file again, test2.txt, and paste it in temp, and then list the content of root. Okay. So now let's build the Docker file again and see. Now, if you look at it now, it's not going to pull anymore because the image is already existing. It's only pulled the first time. Next time it's going to check the local machine if the image is existing. If it's not existing, it's going to pull it, and if it's existing, it's just going to work with it. So let's do it now. So look at it, doesn't really waste time here. It just got it from the cache. You see, using cache because it has already built. Now look at it now. It's no longer using cache anymore. Okay, that's why you have this. All right, that's the fourth line. Okay, all right. So let's go over the lines one by one again so that I can explain. Let's go over the lines one after the other. The new person joined. Okay. So now the first step is pull image. This from is like implementing a pull. Okay. Now it's still like it already has that image already. Then because the old Docker image that we're building failed, is going to have it inside cache. That's why we have this cache here. Okay. That's why it's run this. Then the next one is copy. So I'm telling you, it's copy from our machine. Copy this file from our machine into the Docker image and paste it in our working directory. Okay, that's why you have dots here. And then the next thing is copy this file again, test2, and paste it inside temp. And after that, ls, the same way you run your ls, and then it's run ls, and then this is all it saw inside the container. Okay, now let me see. You know, I was expecting to create this directory, so let's see if it's created. Test. So this is to show it doesn't even create it. Okay, you know, like I told you, like I told the email, like, okay, guy, this is going to be our working directory. That is, create this directory inside. Create this directory inside. Oh no, use this directory as our work dir. But I was expecting, like, if it does not exist, okay, if it does not exist, create it. But I think it doesn't even create it now. So we have to use a working dir. So in that scenario now, let's tweak our Docker file to create that directory before using it as work dir. Right? Hello.
Hello, we are listening.
Yeah, can you understand what I'm trying to do here? I'm telling you to create this directory. Yes. Create this directory, then use the directory as work dir, then copy this file, and then list what we have. So now I'm going to build the image again.
Someone is saying it created it too. Someone is saying it created it.
Oh no, it created another. It created a temp. It created a temp TMP folder.
Okay. Yeah, no, temp is by default.
Okay. I saw that on the list.
Temp is by default. Okay, so. Oh, this is its test. Sorry. So it's created it by default. This is it. I was expecting it to list in alphabetical order, so I was just busy looking for it after this test, but it didn't list alphabetically. So this is test. Yeah, it created it. You see it, right?
Oh, I missed it too.
Yeah, so this is it. So let me change what I created. So I'm actually doing this thing so you guys can see how it really works. There's no magic. So you can follow the flow. In fact, it also includes the thought pattern, you know, the way you just think in solving this thing. I don't just want you to just memorize. You think this thing through. You know, like not that I know these things offhand. I don't really know them offhand. You know, I just try it out and see based on my experience and figure out what is wrong and work on it. Like when you're talking about Dockerfile, it's actually been a while I work with Dockerfile. It's been a while, but I still have a good knowledge of it. And if I have to work with it, I just think through it. Okay, so now we already have the image. Now let's see the images we have, which is Docker images. So remember, when we were building the image, we actually named it DevOps. We named it DevOps. So this is the DevOps. Okay, so that's how to build your image. Now, at the same time, we can also run this image. So let's run this image. Let's run this image. To run the image, you say Docker run, right? Remember, I told you running interactively is IT, right? If you want it to just run once, what you just do is Docker run. You name the image. You name the image. Since you are not using port, you are not using P. So let's call it DevOps. DevOps. I don't know. Okay. I don't know if you have a container. Let me see what we have. Docker PS, I think. Do you have any container like? Oh, you have a lot of containers here. All right. So let me run Docker PS. Docker PS. Then after that, I'm going to run Docker. Okay. Let me run Docker. You remember your Docker prune? Docker container prune. That's to delete all the stop instance. That's from the last class. All the stopped containers. All right. So if I run my Docker PS, I think 8 now. Yeah. So you see, it's only left the running container. Okay. So now let's run a new container using DevOps. To run that new container is as simple as Docker run, right? Then I said if you want to run it interactively, you use -it. Okay, before you do -it, let's just run it like that. Then let's specify the name of the name of the container. Name we want to give to the container. Let's call it DevOps. And then I told you the last you want to run is the image. The last argument is the image name, right? Which is DevOps. The image name we are working with is the DevOps that we built. This is DevOps. That's what we are working with now. So that's what you specified last year. Then enter. All right. So this is it running. Docker entry point is not empty. We'll attempt to perform configuration. What's this? Docker entry point, looking for shell scripting, Docker entry points. You know, I told you about the Docker entry point. So, okay, it's looking for this default. Since we didn't specify, so it's looking for this particular default. And enabled, okay, that's for Nginx. Sorry, we're actually working with Nginx. So that's why it already has all this. You know, like just like I told you, I said, what we are doing is there's always a base image. So inside the Nginx we are working with, it already has its own entry points. How do I know? Let's go to Docker. I can show you. I think there's if I can see itself. Let me see if I can show you. It has its own entry point onto official image. Let's look for Nginx. Maybe I can see Nginx. Which of the Nginx am I working with? I actually need official image. Delicious. See auto official image. To find Nginx. I'm trying to look for Nginx. No, not Nginx Ingress. Nginx official. How do I even know the official? Is it Bitnami that is official? I'm trying to get the official Nginx. Let's see how is this one rebuilt? Okay, without using Nginx, let me just use this for instance now. Let's assume I'm using this Postgre as my base image. If I try to look for the Dockerfile, where can I even get the Dockerfile? If I want to get the Dockerfile now, if I want to get the Dockerfile, there are different ways of getting the Dockerfile. I can either try to get the Git they are using, their source code, like where is the main code actually kept. Okay, so I can do that, or I think I should be able to see it on this page as well. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me just see. Just click. Okay, yeah. So look at it now. I just clicked on this. Is this the Docker file? This is the official image. Then you have, this is your CMD. All this official image. So you see, it has entry points, which is, it has this CMD command. So it's either you use entry points or you use your CMD. So you see, you have your entry points. You have your entry point, you have your CMD. They use both here. Okay, here they have volume, they have a lot of other configurations that you can also play around. So that's what your Dockerfile base image. Your base image can actually include anything. A base image is just like your normal raw image that you are building to. So you're just trying to build on what has already been built. So that's what we are trying to do here. So now we are using the Nginx as our base image. And then we run the Nginx, which already has its entry points defined. Okay, so let's not really worry about this. And in this scenario now, it's already running. So I have to stop it since we are working with Nginx. Let me just stop the container. Now, let me run another one and name it DevOps 2. And I'm going to run it interactively so that you can see what we created. I want to show you what we actually created. Wow. Sorry, I think a lot of people are actually lost. Can we do something, please? Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. I see that a lot of people are actually lost because this class is actually too quiet. Let's do this. Let's continue with the Dockerfile on Sunday. So this thing, you know, at the beginning of the class, I said you have to practice. You have to practice. What I'm just giving you is I'm just trying to lay the foundation that you have to build on. That's what we are doing. After the class, you have to practice these things so that there are a lot of things that I may not be able to cover. You have to figure them out, ask questions. That will really help your understanding on the next class. But I guess a lot of us don't really practice. That's why we are struggling to understand what we are doing here. So I'll just, I think I'll just give us this grace. We can always continue the Dockerfile from next class. So you can just go ahead, just read about Docker and come with the question. Come to the class with questions to help you understand better. That's the best way for us to really learn at a good pace because this class is still quite. So I know a lot of people are struggling, and I can see it in the comments. So the essence is to teach. It don't make sense if I'm just talking and no one is getting it, or you guys are not getting it. And I'm trying as much as possible to get many people to really understand. So that's why I'm really taking my time. Okay, so it's 12 my time here. It's after 12. So maybe we should just continue from here in next class.
Okay,
This
sir.
is just to encourage you. At least it's better than what we know before. At least we got some things.
Yes, it's better than what we know before. Thank you very much, sir. The advice you gave is actually cool. That's so that we'll do a little practice before that Sunday.
Yeah, and you can always ask questions. It's the best place. See, to be honest, you are the students. Me, I am the lecturer before the class. Do you know I'm always preparing 2 hours ahead before the class. So,
You are trying. Thank you, sir. You are trying.
No. It's not because I actually want to take the glory. I'm just trying to tell you, like, me as a lecturer, I'm preparing for the class. Then how much more students? If as a lecturer, I'm preparing for 2 hours, then how much more students? Students should prepare like 5 hours. Me, I prepare 2 hours just before the class anyway. But students, you can prepare ahead of a lot of time because you are the one learning. Me, I'm just prepared because
you're right.
Or trying to be figuring out a lot of things in the class. Most of these things, it's been a while I work with them, but the experience is what I'm working on, especially during troubleshooting. When I'm troubleshooting, you need all this experience for troubleshooting. That's why I'm taking time. I can just easily jump to Kubernetes, but you just know Kubernetes, and when you have issues, you may not be able to troubleshoot. Okay, I don't really do all this. I don't build image anymore. I don't. That's the truth. Okay, but this experience is actually useful, especially when you are troubleshooting. That's why I'm taking my time. So you have to practice. DevOps is no more than this. I have to be honest with you. It's no more than all these things we are doing, because that's what you'll be doing. DevOps is you do of troubleshooting. The bank I'm working on. Now we are. I'm actually working in a bank. This is my 2nd year. The bank has been. This is the 2nd year of the bank, and we are still building. I tell you, like, it's not yet in operation. We are still building. It was just last month that we even got our license, and I've been working with this bank for 2 years. Now, what have we been doing? Is it troubleshooting, figuring out, setting up pipelines, developers bringing up issues, and all. This is what this experience is what is really going to help you. That's why I'm taking time. Like presently now, the squad I have, I'm more or less in a support that I'm exposed to wide things. But normally, if another person wants to work on it, the person might take a day. But because I have some experience, I can just use 30 minutes. And the problem is solved because I'm in support and my experience is really helpful. So that's what all these things is all about. You have to practice, you have to figure out a lot of things, you have to keep on learning. The more you learn, the more I will be able to even teach you more. Now I'm just teaching like the ABC, but there are still some things that I still feel you learn on the job anyway. But I know if I tell you now, it will really complicate matters. So I don't even want to mention it. So there are a lot of things that the more you learn, the more you grab. So you have to practice. You don't just have to, I understand what you did in class. You have to do a lot of things. It's your server. Nobody will find you. Break your server. In fact, crash your server. Nobody will find you. Well, next time you know a way not to crash a server, because you don't want to crash a server. So you have to keep on practicing. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for the encouragement.
Thank you so much.
All right. So let's continue from here on Sunday. Thank you for taking time out. See you again.
Thank you so much for your time too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye.